What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with the one, the only Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into the r/IDontWorkHereLady subreddit. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. So, judging by the title of this one, it's going to be a Scottish accent in this story, even though I have Scottish heritage, I cannot do a Scottish accent for the life of me, so I'm just gonna apologize ahead of time. So this one is called I Do Not Work Here, Laddie, posted by user MadFamousLove. This happened years ago. My dad's cousin Robert was visiting from Scotland for the first time. We live in Canada. He had been taking turns staying at each of my dad's siblings that lived nearby. That day, he was staying with my parents. We had had a nice lunch together at their home, but for dinner, we were going out to a nice restaurant. My mother, father, his cousin, my little bro and I, 2 of my aunts, and 2 of my uncles. So a pretty big party. We had called ahead to get a reservation. The whole family had dressed nicely since we knew we were going somewhere nice for this special occasion. The restaurant where we were going was not the #1 restaurant in the city, but it was pretty high-end, one of my personal favorite places to eat in the city. The whole staff dressed nicely, but the manager and sommelier both wore suits. We got to the restaurant maybe 15 minutes early, but our table was already ready, so we were seated right away. I was friends with the sommelier in particular and knew most of the staff pretty well, so I was talking to him a bit. We chatted about what wine they had gotten in recently. They had picked up a large collection from an estate sale that I hadn't been able to attend myself. I ordered several bottles from this new collection for the table and then went to seat myself. The dinner rush was just starting as our waiter took our orders. Robert got up and headed for the bathroom, which our server pointed out for him. As he was coming back around the corner towards our table, a skinny young guy in a tacky suit snapped his fingers at Robert, who noticed and looked at him surprised and sort of offended. The man was loud, very needlessly loud. This was a nice place. People were talking in muted tones. Rude young man. Hey, you! Yes, you! We're ready to order. Robert. Beg pardon, laddie. What you're going on about? Robert's accent was thick as oatmeal. Rude young man. My order! Take my order! We're ready! It was about this moment Robert realized the rude young man thought he worked at the restaurant. Robert. Dinna work here, laddie. The rude young man was having none of this. His immediate anger was clearly apparent as he stood up. This situation was getting out of hand. I and my little bro both got up from the table to go back up Robert. We got there almost the same time as the manager. Rude young man, now shouting. You can't treat me like this! Don't you know who I am? Robert was recoiling. Having heard so much about Canadian hospitality, he was floored by this rude young man. Floor manager stepped between Robert and his aggressor as Robert was stepping back from the rude young man. Floor manager. Sir, I don't know who you think you are, but your behavior is unacceptable. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Rude young man. I demand you fire this server. He was very rude. You can't treat me like this. My dad owns this place. I'll have your job. I'll have all of your jobs. This guy was so loud that the chef had come out to see what was the matter. Dressed in black, with black heavy leather apron, heavy leather knife sheaths on each hip hung on a belt around his waist, tattoos all over his arms and neck, muscular and a little over 6 feet tall. Chef was quite an imposing figure, particularly with the angry look on his face. At this point, the whole restaurant was staring at the rude young man. Chef, in an aggressive but not overly loud yet commanding voice. This is over. You're out of here. Get up and get out now. Chef's command allowed no rebuke. The skinny little pissant looked terrified. He and his lady friend both got up looking horrified and rushed out of the restaurant. I thought he was going to make another comment as he fled, but he just scurried away. Several people cheered. Several others clapped as Chef retreated back to the kitchen. The excitement over, we ended up having a great rest of our meal. The floor manager ended up comping the whole meal, nearly $2,000. Both my dad and I really wanted to pay, but he just refused to take our cards. So we ended up just leaving a big pile of cash on the table when we left. The following week, I went back to the place with a friend. The sommelier was just itching to dish the news. Turned out, the rude young man's dad had indeed owned the restaurant, part owner. He was a wealthy local landowner, businessman, and restaurateur. Unfortunately for that little pissant, his father had not been on his side at all when he tried to get everyone fired. Much to his dismay, his father instead took away his trust fund, the penthouse he was living in, and his car. Kid ended up having to get a job for the first time in his life. This is so good. Oh my god. So he ended up having to get a job for the first time in his life. Can you imagine the people that have to work with that little fucking pissant? It would be great if he had like an entry level position and like people had to like tell him to go mop the floors or something. That would be great. Just put him in his place. Bye-bye penthouse, bye-bye trust fund, bye-bye car. Oh, boo-hoo. This is like some revenge. This is like regular revenge, or not even. I guess it's not even revenge because they didn't plan for anything to happen to them. But this is a nice little ending to this I Don't Work Here Lady story. I really like this one. I don't work here. I'm just a student. Posted by user Creata_Owens21. So this happened 2 days before fall break. My class and I went to our local Petco for a field trip. Now, I love animals and am high-functioning autistic. Important later. So whenever I go to a pet store, I learn all the names of the cats up for adoption. On this day, I did the usual routine of going to the cats and saying hi. I already knew this Petco, so I showed my classmates around and then I went back to the cats. There was this older man looking at the cats and seemed interested in a cat named Lucy, the friendly one. Being the animal lover that I am, I started trying to convince him to adopt little Lucy. Now he seems interested and says he would talk to his wife about it. He then asked me for my name so he could talk to me with his wife. Me, having read this subreddit, said, "Oh, I don't work here, I'm just a student." He then laughed and said, "Thank you anyways." That was a nice little wholesome story. Aw, that's so cute. Good for you for trying to convince somebody to adopt. That's awesome. I had an argument with somebody the other day about like puppy kennels, like puppy mills and like breeders and stuff like that. And, you know, nothing against those that do this for a living. I just personally don't agree with it. There are so many animals out there that need homes, that puppy mills and like breeding and like, you know, kitty mills and all that, those shouldn't even be a thing until we've completely solved the high cat population and all of these little doggos that are looking for homes. Like it breaks my heart that people breed for money instead of, you know, the want to find these poor little babies their forever homes. Don't get me started. Let's move on to the next one. I thought what happened to me was an anomaly, but this sub proves how commonplace this kind of stuff is. Posted by user Calvin Ball MVP. When I found this sub, I was amazed at how many people had similar experiences to what I had happen. I just thought it was a rare alignment of the planets that caused it, but now I see how certain people are ridiculous and entitled when it comes to retail workers and where they see them fit in the social hierarchy. Anyways, here's my contribution. About 10 years ago, I worked as a delivery driver for AutoZone. Sorry, had to do it. Worked the morning shift, did my deliveries and other bullshit, and headed home. Realized I was out of toilet paper, so I stopped by Target on the way to pick some up. Found the toilet paper aisle and headed to get my brand. I'm picky. I was deciding between the biggest pack they had or just the 4-roll, doing the math and figuring out how much I had to spend that week. I noticed another customer had entered the aisle and was heading towards me, so I stepped forward assuming she'd passed behind me and went back to the big decision I had ahead of me. My concentration was broken a moment later by the distinct clearing of a throat in that way that's only made to get someone's attention and not in a very polite way. I never considered that she thought I was an employee and just thought I was in her way. I looked at the gal and smiled and said, "Excuse me," stepped even closer to make some room, assuming she thought I was in her way, and went back to what I was doing. Then I hear,
"Well, are you going to help me or what?"
I was completely caught off guard. I was like, what in the fuck is she asking me for help for? And I kind of looked around in that way you do just to make sure you aren't misreading the situation. That's when I saw the Target employee in their red shirt and khaki pants past the end of the aisle when it hit me. I'm wearing my red shirt with a name tag. I can understand the confusion now. I turned back to her and tried to laugh it off to save what I thought would be her embarrassing for mistaking me for a Target employee and tell her, "Sorry if my shirt confused you, but I don't work here." Thinking she'd be like, "Oh, silly me, you have a good day." And then I'd be able to respond with, "No worries at all, you take care out there." But fuck no, that couldn't be how it went down. She proceeds to respond with,
"Yes, you do. You just don't want to help me,"
with a noticeable edge in her voice and narrowing her eyes at me. At this point, I'm fucking gobsmacked, asking myself if this is really happening, because it just seems so absurd considering this was pre-Reddit for me and I'd never heard about something like this occurring to anyone else. I tell her, irritated but still not really pissed, just nonplussed. "Sorry, but I work at AutoZone." Sorry. She just kind of loses her temper now and says something to the effect of, "I'm fucking lazy," and she wants to know the name of my manager so she can let them know why their employee is lying to customers, refusing to help them, blah 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 blah. Then I uttered the line that made me laugh when I found this sub because of how true it was, and said with as much indignation and righteous fury I had, "I don't work here, lady!"
"You!"
She got ready to start in on me again, and I cut her off. "Look, I've got black pants. They've got tan." I unclip my name tag and hold it out, shaking it at her. "See? Fucking AutoZone, not Target. Now go away." She starts winding up again to defend her idiocy, and by that point, I'm fucking done. So I grab the TP, can't remember if I got the 4-pack or the big one, sorry, and give her the final "fuck you" and walk away as she's squawking on behind me. Seems like she was trying to figure out which AutoZone I work at, I can only assume, so she could come by and spread some of her unique shitheadery around there as well, and probably ask to speak to some type of manager, or call corporate, or any of the other unfortunate normal bullshit we've all become accustomed to on here. So yeah, that's my story with the reality of how weird people are in retail. I'd have called her a Karen here, but I know a couple of really great Karens, so I kind of avoid that term, but I can see why it has become so prevalent. I no longer work retail, and if the universe is kind, I never will again. But to all you retail workers getting ready for the nightmare of Black Friday and the ensuing holiday season, I wish you well, and I hope people genuinely treat you like people and appreciate you being there. I know I do. Enjoy your holidays. So I'm usually predisposed to feeling like these stories aren't real, but I believe this one just because it didn't go on for a very long time. And a whole bunch of back and forth, because I'm sorry, how do you remember all that back and forth? So I actually believe this one is true because there wasn't all that extra. And this is also why I do most of my shopping online. So I don't ever have to deal with these people. But you know what, maybe I should just, for the fun of it, just go to Walmart dressed in like a blue shirt and khakis. Cockies, as I called them. Did I say cockies? I don't remember. Cockies. What an idiot. Oh boy. But anyway, my dudes, Black Friday, stay safe out there. There's some fucking crazies out there that would kick your head in just to get to the newest, hottest toy for their kid, which is fucking crazy. So just stay safe. It's not worth landing yourself in the hospital just to get a good deal. So I got you guys in mind this Christmas. I hope you guys all stay safe. You look like an honest person. I don't need to see your receipt. Posted by user cbelt3. I'm old and rumpled and standing by the check your receipt / return stand at the door to my local Wally World. And the nice lady is off looking for someone to help me get a propane from the lockup out front. There is a turkey that must be fried tomorrow. And at least 6 people looked at me and offered their receipts for checking. The first one got an "I don't work here, lady." Everyone after that got a smile and "I trust you," or "You look like an honest person." That's great. He just ended up going along with it because he just got fed up. That's what I've been mistaken for a worker a few times, and it's never gotten, I mean, not never, but more often than not, it hasn't gotten to the point where I have to argue with them and say, look, I don't work here. It has happened a couple times, but it wasn't like crazy. But most of the time, I just try to be helpful because that's just the type of person I am. I try to be helpful. If I'm at a store I've been to 100 times, like, I'm sorry, Walmart in my, well, there's about 3 or 4 different Walmarts around this area that I could tell you where to find pretty much everything because I go there for groceries. I go there for, pretty much everything. My yarn sometimes if Michael's is too far. But yeah, I just try to be helpful. Just be helpful like this guy. Stir fry sauce. Posted by user Missy Diabolical. Hello everyone, long-time lurker here. I was amazed when I came across this subreddit. Finally, I have a story to share that fits perfectly. Please forgive spelling and grammar. I have some neurological issues and can get a bit wonky. This happened a good decade ago now, when I was about 20. But you know how some memories stand out so vividly? This is definitely one of those. I was a newly graduated veterinary nurse working in a busy little small animal clinic based in a well-known horse racing town. On that particular day, we'd had a high volume of surgeries and I just spent a good 6 hours solid doing anesthetics, hunched up and concentrating hard, and was so very ready to stretch my legs and eat an overdue lunch. We finally wrap up the last surgery. All went well. No animals were harmed in the making of this story. I am very ready to devour calories. Now, usually whenever I left the clinic, I would change my nurse's tunic for something more casual. But as we'd been busy, I was 2 hours past my usual lunchtime. I didn't bother to change, and in fact, hadn't even de-accessorized. So I had a full-body green tunic and trousers, fob watch, name badge with job title, and to top it all off, a stethoscope around my neck. Full-on knackered nurse chic. I was in a rush to get to my coveted sandwich, damn it. Point is, everything about my look screamed medical worker. I decided to pop into the local Marks & Spencer's and get a nice sandwich. Anyone from outside the UK, Marks & Spencer's is a department store that is fairly fancy. Not super duper posh, but not exactly an everyday shop either. This branch was a clothes store up front with a food section at the back. Getting lunch from here was a special treat. So I get to Marks & Spencer's, have picked myself a drool-worthy sandwich, ham hock and chutney, yum, and have decided, hell with it, I'ma get me a dessert too. In for a penny, in for a pound. I trotted to the fresh cake section and am salivating over cheesecakes and macaroons when along comes Karen. I know that's a cliche at this point, but seriously, this woman was the most Karen to ever Karen. From the "I need to speak to your manager" haircut to the Audi car keys on Kath Kidston keyring clutched in her bejeweled claws. Karen stops right next to me, stares at me with eyebrows raised, then sort of huffs or sighs through flared nostrils in my direction. I assume she wants something I'm standing in front of, so I just shuffle along a bit and keep contemplating cakes. Cake. Karen.
Don't you dare walk away from me.
Me. Pardon? Karen.
Where are the stir-fry sauces?
She clicks her fingers up near my face as she says this.
Stir-fry sauces.
At this point, I didn't think she thought I worked there, as I'm wearing my name badge with vet clinic on it and I knew I was representing my workplace, so I try to be polite rather than just scoff in her rude face. Mistake. Me. Oh, I have no idea. Maybe on the end of the veg aisle, like with the packaged salads and stuff? Karen. Alarming screeching begins.
What do you mean you have no idea? This is ridiculous. You should know where all the products are. How can you be so rude and stupid?
The irony. Me, confused still, hungry, just want to eat my damn lunch. I don't know where your sauces are. I don't come in here much. Excuse me. And I start walking away. Karen puts her arm out, blocking my escape.
I can't believe this. You rude child. They will hire anyone these days. This shop is supposed to have standards. I don't care if this isn't your department. You should know this. Shop layout is basic knowledge. Did you even listen during training? Who's your manager?
All said in one enormous breath. Kind of impressive. Me, bewildered, still hungry, really struggling to connect that she actually thinks I work there. I don't work here? Gesturing with sandwich at uniform. Karen, even higher level of screeching. Dogs back at the clinic likely start howling in response. Face alarmingly red.
Don't get cocky with me! Tell me where the stir-fry sauces are right now! You are going to be in so much trouble, young lady. You might even be fired for your cheat.
Me. So done at this point. Stomach growling, sandwich calling. I don't work here. I'm a veterinary nurse. I'm buying my lunch here. Please move. Karen. Gears turning, eyes roaming nursey evidence. Karen.
I should have known you're from
Name of a horse clinic, not the vets I work at.
They always have silly little girls working there. Look at all the horsehair you're sprinkling around the place. They shouldn't have let you in. It's not sanitary. I'm telling the manager, you'll be banned.
FYI, my tunic was spotless as I'd been wearing scrubs over it all day. But sure, okay, Karen. Thank the lunch gods, Karen decided to then storm off. I assumed to find a manager to scream at for a few hours. I grabbed a custard tart, double pack, and you're damn right I ate them both, and purchased my lunch. I never saw Karen again, so for all I know, she's still there shouting about rude stable girls who don't know where stir-fry sauces are. The sandwich was delightful. TLDR, Karen wanted stir-fry sauce in shop, thought I was shop assistant. I was a nurse and couldn't help. Karen lost her damn mind. A sandwich was eaten. However funny, these are the type of stories that I just can't believe them. I just can't. How can anybody assume somebody wearing a stethoscope works? Okay. I'm just going to leave this one alone. Let's hear your comments down below. I want to hear what you guys think about this one. And hopefully it isn't a complaint about my screeching because I'm sorry. I'm apologizing right now. I'm sorry. Apparently, I'm a PetSmart employee. Posted by user Fly Like a Bee. This happened a couple of years ago, but I still laugh at it to this day. So for context, I worked at a diner, which was a blue casual shirt with the diner's name in bright yellow on the back and front. PetSmart had blue polo shirts for employees, but they were a complete different shade than mine. Mine was a much darker blue. So I had time to kill after my shift, so I decided to go into PetSmart and look at the fish aisle and get information on betta fish and neon tetra compatibility, and what the best filter would be for both of them. I flagged down this sweet girl who was happy to take on my questions about the subject. What was to follow was what was worse. As she was explaining to me what different filters do and add to the tank and whatnot, I guess a lady with a family of 4 saw us and clearly assumed we were both employees since she saw blue. came up to the girl demanding to be helped. She said, "Yes, I am happy to help you as soon as I am done helping her." She turns to me and starts answering a question I asked. At this point, I saw the mother look at me again, very quickly, might I add, and started yelling at the girl saying that I wasn't a customer but an employee and should be helping her instead. At this point, I step out in front of her and say, "I don't work here, lady. I don't even have the same uniform." She went to argue, but then saw my shirt for the third time and saw it was completely different. She went quiet and apologized, but I saw she was still visibly upset. I apologized because I had a feeling that was going to happen and should have brought a jacket. She laughed it off and kept answering my questions. That family hovered beside us like a moth attracted to a light to make sure she was the first to get her questions answered too. I think this lady needs to do those like Lumosity games. Luminosity? I can't remember what the hell that app is called. But it's like the brain training things where like you have to look at pictures that are really, really similar to each other, but there's one that's slightly different. You have to find it. I think she should study some of those for a little while. All right, my dudes, and the last story of the day is called "I Got Cold Called to Teach Someone's Kid How to Ride Dirt Bikes," posted by user Redheaded Canadian 97. Okay, so this is a strange one. I literally just hung up the phone. So I'm currently in a time zone where it's 12:30-ish in the AM. It's fucking late. I'm doing calculus homework and genuine hating my existence. My phone rings. The only people who call me are my mom, my grandmother, and this one girl from Tinder who likes to chat while she works nights, who's a nurse. But this was an unknown number. Okay, I'll bite. Answer the phone. Me. Hello? Some random mom who I will refer to as Karen.
Hi, is this OP?
Me. Yeah, it is. Who is this? And what's going on? Karen.
So-and-so said you used to teach kids how to ride dirt bikes, like on a track?
Me. What? Who is this? It's like midnight. Yeah, I used to teach at summer training camp, but I don't anymore. You got my number from who? Karen.
It's only 9:30. Don't be silly. Will you teach my son how to ride?
Me. Again, it's midnight. I'm trying to do homework, and we aren't even in the same time zone. Please don't call me again. I wish I could make this shit up. I'm taking engineering because I'm not creative. 3-ish years ago, when I was 18 or 19, I worked at a motocross training camp as a way to get free track time because I was racing, and track time is expensive as fuck. So during the week, I taught 10-year-olds how to not die on the track. Who this woman talked to, I have no idea. The name didn't ring any bells. But yeah, I had a decent chuckle from this, so I figured some of you might as well. Cheers! That's funny. So like, that's not even really like an "I don't work here" lady story because she just wasn't assuming that he worked anywhere. But it kind of is, I guess. That's funny, like 12 a.m. Did he move from somewhere? Did I miss that part? I mean, I read it all, obviously, but like where? I don't think he says that. Or maybe he does. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny though. Give it just a random call. I probably would have like fucked with her for a little while if it was 12 a.m. and she wasn't getting that and like not taking no for an answer. I probably would have kept her on the phone for a while and said, yeah, meet me here at 7 a.m. on this day. And nobody showed up because clearly you're in different time zones. But no, I probably wouldn't do that because I'm not really an asshole. I'd talk a big game, my dudes, but I ain't that asshole, I promise. Alright, my dudes, we made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much if you stuck it out to the end. If you liked it, please smash that like button. It really helps me out. Along with, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for, my dudes? Smash that subscribe button and the little bell icon next to it. Otherwise, I don't know what YouTube's doing with these fucking algorithms now. They'll never show you my videos unless you hit that icon. So do it. And as always, the links to these stories will be in the description, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And don't forget to submit your stories, my dudes. I started doing a little bit of editing on Percy's this morning, and I'm gonna finish reading it today, and I'm gonna send it to him. I keep saying that, I know. I am such a procrastinator and I am sorry, but I will get that edit to you tonight, Percy, I promise. All right, my dudes, you guys have a fantabulous fucking night and I will see you in tomorrow's episode.